staying with us on air, following our notifications, ensuring that you're keeping track with what's happening with NTN, because as we've said repeatedly, this is the station to keep close to you for the latest developments coming out of the government of Saint Lucia. Now, as we mentioned in our morning update just a while ago, we have the Saint Lucia being set to welcome its first cruise ship since the onset of a COVID-19 pandemic. Last year, March, April, everything just got halted. And we've seen so far the slow but steady coming back to what we once enjoyed, thanks to the national vaccination campaign, as well as other measures being instituted by the government of Saint Lucia. So as I indicated, we have the first cruise ship set to come into our port tomorrow, Tuesday, and we have in studio with us the Director of Product Development within the Ministry of Tourism, Ms. Ann-Margaret Adams, and she's here to speak to us about what form this will take. And good morning, really, first of all.
Good morning to you, and good morning to those who are watching. Thank you for having me here.
Wonderful. Well, Director of Product Development, usually we hear from the PS, we hear from the Minister, we even hear from quite a few of the public relations figures who are sitting in the background right now. But if you could just tell us what your office, what your desk is responsible for, Director of Product Development.
Yes, good morning everyone. So my role within the Ministry of Tourism is basically to facilitate business development within the sector. We are responsible for a range of activities or actions to help grow our businesses. We are also responsible for incentives for facilitating investment within the sector. We also support our small businesses by providing training, capacity building, and during this COVID environment, we have been very much largely involved in helping businesses resume their services, training, certification, and the like.
Okay, and we've so far seen quite a flurry of activity in the last 2 weeks, I should say 3 weeks even, yes. Not just preparations for the first cruise ship, but also St. Lucians who work in the cruise sector, correct, returning to work. Speak to us about tomorrow, first of all. Tomorrow we have the first vessel since the pandemic is expected to arrive in our port. What is this vessel, the name of the vessel, the name of the company, and what is the expected capacity? Who can we expect tomorrow?
So tomorrow we actually will be anticipating our arrival of the first vessel, which is the Celebrity Millennium, and it is expected to have approximately 400 passengers. So the cruise sector, as we know, has been out for at least 15 months, and I'm sure many St. Lucians, we are looking forward to the arrival of that vessel. We anticipate, as I said, 400 persons to be arriving in St. Lucia after this long break. So I'm sure our taxi drivers, our vendors, and all of those persons within the sector, our locals, are anticipating the arrival of this vessel tomorrow.
Anticipation, but curiosity to know who can engage cruise passengers and who can't. So let us know what are the services or tours that will be available to cruise passengers and some of the stakeholders who can be directly involved.
So the cruise passengers are basically able to participate in our COVID certified services. And when I say that, we talk about our transportation, our water-based, our dayboat operations, our restaurants as well, and of course our tours. So these are the services that will be provided to the passengers based on their status. So we have passengers that are fully vaccinated as well as those that are non-fully vaccinated. So they're able to participate in a range of activities, and we have actually prepared those service providers in anticipation of the arrival. So they can participate in a number of activities, as I said, and I'm sure these service providers will be anticipating and will be expecting, the arrival of these passengers. We've been having lots of meetings, engagements with those individuals to prepare them to be able to service, to be able to deliver the proper customer service for our passengers when they arrive tomorrow.
Okay, I can go back to an interview we had with the Prime Minister in terms of speaking on the cruise sector and arrangements for will it be fully vaccinated individuals who will be allowed to enjoy the cruise? How will persons, we're finding out that there will be a mix. Yes. How will persons be able to differentiate who is fully vaccinated and the non-fully vaccinated cruise passengers disembarking?
So the fully vaccinated passengers are those who actually have completed the regimen, the COVID-19 vaccination regimen, which is approved by the Ministry of Health. So they would have had to arrive in St. Lucia at least 2 weeks. It would have been at least 2 weeks prior to their arrival in St. Lucia. So these are your fully vaccinated visitors. And these persons will be allowed to free roam, as we say. Just like your land-based visitors, they can enjoy the services. They can participate in your tours, they can go to the supermarket, they can go to the beaches as well. And these persons will be identified by a wristband. And what we have allowed them to utilize a white wristband, which will differentiate them from your non-fully vaccinated visitors, passengers.
Okay. Now, what is the difference between a fully vaccinated and a non-fully vaccinated cruise passenger? If you could just specify that.
Certainly. So your fully vaccinated passengers are persons who have completed the full vaccination regime. So in a 1-dose regime, you'll have completed that 1 dose, and in a 2-dose regime, they would have completed the 2 doses. But of course, it would have to be at least 2 weeks prior to their arrival in Saint Lucia. So after you have taken the 2 weeks in a 2-dose regimen, 2 weeks will have had to elapse when you arrive in Saint Lucia. And of course, your non-fully vaccinated persons can vary from those who have never had a vaccine, those who are unable to present the documentation when they arrive in Saint Lucia, and the like. So persons who have received only the 1st dose are persons who would be considered non-fully vaccinated persons. But your fully vaccinated must take the required regimen. So if it's a 1 dose, it has to be 1. If it's 2, both doses must be taken, and of course your 2 weeks will have had to elapse.
Okay, I think the Johnson & Johnson is the only 1 dose,
right,
really?
Yes, it's the only 1 dose, correct. And also, it must be approved by the Ministry of Health as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, understood. So there is this natural concern, there would be this natural concern that fully vaccinated, non-fully vaccinated, walking through our country, what's going on here?
Well, as we said, fully vaccinated, they will be given an identification band similar to your land-based visitors. Your land-based visitors are allowed to roam freely if they're fully vaccinated. So I think we can assure the population that, look, these persons will be able to, they are fully vaccinated, they'll be identified by your white wristband, and your non-fully vaccinated will have to participate in a bubble. So they will not be allowed to free roam like your fully vaccinated visitors. So they will be participating in what we call predetermined experiences or tours. So they will have to operate within a bubble, and they will be doing certified activities, of course, like you're fully vaccinated, but within a bubble. While you're fully vaccinated, they can roam the island, they can participate in your beaches, in approved beaches, they can participate in your shopping activities and other recreational activities.
But we won't see these people touring through the city, taking pictures and so on.
You're fully vaccinated, they can roam.
Fully vaccinated, but non-fully.
Correct. So just to assure you, you're non-fully vaccinated, they are not allowed to be taking pictures and roam in the city. They will be operating within a bubble of predetermined experiences. They would have to book through your cruise agents or through the cruise desk.
Okay. Will a cruise, well, first of all, how will the locals be able to benefit from the resumption of cruise? Because there are limitations and COVID-19 protocols to take into consideration.
Right. So your locals will be able to participate. I can say that the ministry has been working assiduously in preparing them for providing services. Your tours, your transportation sector, your transportation providers, your sites and attractions, your vendors. And in fact, as of yesterday, we had a meeting with our vendors to prepare them in terms of what are the expectations, what are the guidelines surrounding, cruise passengers when they do come in. So the locals will be able to participate. I must say that they'll be able to benefit from the services that they will be able to provide to your fully vaccinated as well as those who are non-vaccinated, but within a bubble.
Okay. Will cruise passengers be able to patronize the various shops in the city, as was the norm prior to COVID? And I think that ties into the
fully
points that you
vaccinated, they can.
made.
Only if you're fully vaccinated, you're able to just patronize the different shops, the different services. But of course, as we said, you're non-fully vaccinated, you're non-vaccinated, they would only be allowed to participate in predetermined experiences.
Ms. Adams, talk to us about your engagement with the stakeholders. What has the reception been like, their response to the resumption of the cruise sector?
Well, we have had a tremendous, extensive dialogue with our sector. We've had a number of discussions with our vendors, being the last group. We have been having training and certification in the cruise protocols, the guidelines. We have met with our public sector agencies as well as other stakeholders in the process. So our service providers have been excited. In fact, our vendors were very, very excited in terms of in anticipation of the arrival. So they are ready. We can say that they are ready. They have been trained. They have been certified. We've had a number of refresher courses as well, so that they understand exactly what it is that they must expect, how to deliver the right services to our cruise ship passengers.
Okay, so we have the first cruise ship coming into St. Lucia tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
What does the schedule look like for the season?
Okay, well, tomorrow we have, as you say, we have our first visit, but most of our calls will be between the period of August to October. And of course, it is subject to change, but most of them we anticipate will be within that period.
Okay. And plans for tomorrow? I know this will be a momentous occasion for the Ministry of Tourism.
Of course, yes, it will be. I know that there are planned activities. We don't have much details at this point in time, but I understand there's supposed to be a flotilla. We've had press releases in terms of communicating our anticipated arrival. So I think everybody, public, private, the agencies are very much anticipating that arrival tomorrow.
Okay. Speak to us about surveillance, because we know with every development, every change, particularly in this pandemic context, there is need for surveillance, there is need for measures being put in place to ensure that everything that has been mapped out on paper is actualized.
Well, yes, so we have the Ministry of Health that is working very closely with us, because as you would ensure and appreciate that they work very closely in terms of ensuring that the pre-arrival passengers, the processes of screening, that they are within the approved guidelines. So in terms of surveillance, we work very closely with our agencies. The Ministry of Tourism also works very closely with a team in terms of ensuring that there is the necessary protocols that they are adhered to. So we work very closely with the Ministry of Health, who's primarily responsible for that type of activity.
Okay, and given the level of preparation, talk to us about the confidence. I just pushed into how the surveillance. It is quite a huge, gargantuan task, and we so far seen the Ministry of Tourism rise to the occasion time and time again.
Yes, we
how
have.
Confident are you feeling going into this new space?
Well, we are pretty confident in terms of this expected arrival tomorrow, and as we want to be able to we want to communicate that this is really a trial period, because it is our first arrival tomorrow, and the ministry will be having some sort of assessment to really look at where the gaps are in terms of what could be improved. But we are pretty confident. We have worked very closely with our agencies. We have worked closely with our service providers. We've done the necessary training, the sensitization, the certification, and really ensuring that everybody understands the guideline. Up to Friday, actually, we had a meeting with everybody on board to ensure that everybody understands the process. There are no, that there's clarification in terms of the roles, what is expected. So I think we are fairly confident that tomorrow things will run smoothly.
Wonderful. And we have the COVID certified operators. They are on standby, and that's something that happened very early on in our COVID-19 response.
Thank you. The ministry has been very much integrally involved in that process of certification. We have been working with a large number of operators, training at least 88 of our dayboat operators, hundreds of our hotels, our vendors, at least 200. So we have been working very closely in ensuring that these persons, they are trained, they understand the protocols for their respective sectors. So I think we are pretty confident that tomorrow things will run smoothly.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I always like to say, commendations, queries, concerns, questions. Who can the general public contact?
Well, the public can contact the Ministry of Tourism. We have a desk. They can contact 468-4628. They can also contact the Ministry of Health, but I don't have that information at this point. But the Ministry of Tourism is the contact should anybody want to address any of their queries.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Adams, for your time. Director of Product Development within the Ministry of Tourism, Saint Lucia. We have Celebrity Millennium coming into our port tomorrow, an indication, a show of the resumption of the cruise sector here in St. Lucia since the pandemic. You saw the halt last year, March, April, thereabouts, where everything came to a standstill, and there's been a slow but steady reopening of our society in full as we once enjoyed, based on the national COVID-19 vaccination program, amongst other efforts at managing the COVID-19 situation here on island. The Prime Minister has indicated that he hopes to have herd immunity by October, and we have the same call by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Of course, this is all in the hopes that we can have the slow but steady reopening of our society overall, and we're seeing another step in that journey. Thank you very much, Ms. Adams, for your time. Director of Product Development from the Ministry of Tourism, letting us in on what this will look like tomorrow. I'm sure I'm going to be looking out for the balloons and the festivities at the port tomorrow.
That as well.
We do hope that you can tune in tomorrow for, I think we have a live proceeding, but if not, we'll definitely be covering it comprehensively, so you can take a look at our NTN Nightly of that resumption, that Celebrity Millennium coming in with 400 passengers. You've just heard all of the very strict requirements that have been put in place, strict measures that have been put in place to guide the reopening of the cruise sector. So please take note, not to worry. If everyone plays their part, this will flow very seamlessly. My name is Jessie Leon, signing off for now. This has been an update on the reopening of the cruise sector here in St. Lucia. Do stay tuned to NTN for more programming.